Good evening and welcome to the North Rose-Wolcott Central School Board of Education meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We begin tonight with approval of agenda. Would a motion please to approve the agenda? John and Linda, discussion? I would like to add, please, the green sheets to this agenda tonight. Motion please to add the green sheets to the agenda. Shelley and Tina, discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried, and now to approve the agenda. Any more discussion on the agenda? All in favor? Motion is carried. I'll be adding it after, on page 9, after number 8. The green sheets. Okay? We'll move now to the budget hearing. And I'll turn it over to Mr. Poland and Mr. Byron.
Thank you, Mrs. Collier. So we're going to get right into this. As you know, we've been presenting publicly for the last several months. We're actually out in the community and hitting the buildings now with our proposed 24-25 school budget. So everything that we do is based on our strategic action plan. So the mission, the vision, and the things that the committee decided years ago. So we hope that it's evident to the community and to the public that they understand that our budget is both educationally and physically sound. It reflects prudent planning and balancing the needs for all students' instructional programs, or academic programs, or extracurricular programs, and things that we feel are important when it comes to the social, emotional aspect of growing our children while minimizing the impact to our taxpayers. You've seen these slides before, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time going over them in depth, but there's an intentional redundancy in what we do. When we start this planning process in early fall, and we take a number of things into consideration to make sure that our program reflects what our students deserve, what our community deserves, and what our public can afford. And that work really starts with our administrative team. And I tell people we go to the worst case scenario and work our way backwards. And that really starts the evolution of our budget in early fall. So it's a series of both collective meetings with the administrators and directors, and then individual meetings with each of the representative programs. And we scrutinize where we're spending our money. We scrutinize our academic program, our physical plant, our transportation, our food service, etc. And we look for efficiencies. And really the reason why we do that is because there is a tax cap. We are dependent upon state aid, and we do understand that state aid is essentially a promissory note. It's not a guarantee. For our district in particular, the amount of aid we receive depends on how much money we actually expend this year. Gary's going to get into that a little bit more and talk to you about that. But as you know, last year we had inflation over 9%. So we were really trying to capitalize on spending as much as we could last year out of our grant programs, and we're going to continue to do that to supplement what we offer through our district-approved budget. So I feel that this year's budget process has met these budget goals that we set forth in the fall, and things that we adhere to while we're having those meetings and those difficult conversations about what to keep, what to forego, and what to maintain and enhance. So before the public on the 21st, as you know, there's going to would be a budget proposal of $35,489,766, which is an actual dollar increase, the figure rather, of $779,485. That's a 2.25% increase over last year, so budget to budget is a 2.25% increase. It's lower than inflation, and it's something that we feel is prudent and something that we hope our community can support. Gary's going to go through the particulars, and we'll certainly turn it over for any questions at the end. But we want to kind of highlight the continued scrutiny of everything we do and say, in many cases, we get to these decisions through a collective process with both the individual administrators and director and direction from the Board of Education. So Gary's going to get into the meat and potatoes per se with balancing the budget and going through the estimated revenues versus the estimated appropriations.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Paul. I just want to kind of reiterate what a team effort this has been. And as Mr. Paul says, it really officially starts for us in the fall. This is a year-round thing. The board has seen our 5-year projections and fund balance. The sort of requirement that we have to do is take a look at our future net for just this next year, which public schools are the only entity that has to vote on their budget, right? Other municipalities don't have to do that. Other municipalities, towns, and villages, so forth, they're still subject to that 2%, but they only require the board to pass that. So here we're asking, once again, every year for the voters to approve our budget, the appropriations side. But that has to be balanced with our revenues. So here it is, we're showing that we do in fact have a balanced budget. Our goals that we mentioned, prudent budget. So we have to support our planned expenditures, these appropriations, with a very reasonable estimate of what we think our revenues are going to be. So there you have it. And we rely heavily on our state aid, about 2/3 of our budget. About 1/3 of it is in taxes. And the rest of it, relatively speaking, is a small portion of the budget. The rest is about 4 or 5%. And that is a combination of use of our reserves. That's a very strategic use of our reserves from year to year. We are able to use the available reserves that works hand in hand with our appropriations to help manage our budget from year to year. So we use that, and we use a little bit of our savings or our fund balance. So this year our reserves are at just over $1 million, and our use of fund balance $250,000. So pretty reasonable. Both are up a little bit from the prior year. And then we have our in lieu of taxes, those are pilot agreements, and there's not very much there, $16,000. It's not a change from last year. One of the key revenue items that we look at is sales tax, and that is a very old agreement with the county, with school districts. I believe it's about $2.5 million that's spread throughout the districts in Wayne County, based on enrollment or average daily attendance. Actually, pretty much the same thing, but that's how it gets prorated amongst the districts. So we're pretty steady from year to year, even though that does get raised as an issue from time to time with our town supervisors. They'd like to have all that money back, but it really would be detrimental to all of our communities taking that back. We're a major employer, right? And we are a people organization. So, cutting back the sales tax would be detrimental for the whole county, at least in my opinion. So that's one of the arguments of keeping it. It would be very detrimental losing sales tax. So that's the revenue side. It shows that we can support these taking a look at those, the proposed budget or these expenditures, as Mr. Paul said, budget to budget is going up 2.25%. I want to reiterate, the CPI is over, that's the average that we're benchmarking against over this last year is over 4%, 4.12%. So we feel like we've done a pretty good job in keeping our budget increase down and still providing the program that would all of our offerings, maintaining or enhancing our program. So here are the major categories broken down. I like to see things graphically. So on the pie chart, you'll see the big area, half, roughly half, just over half of our budget goes directly to instruction. About a quarter of our budget is benefits, which is really could be part of that instruction pie, if you would ask me, since most of those dollars in the instructional are salaries. So, and the other is debt service. That helps to pay off over time our capital projects that we have. We have interfund transfers. That is the $100,000 for our capital outlay project, which is a great thing. We'll have another slide about that. And also some money that is our share for summer school program. So that $180,000 is $100,000 of capital outlay and $80,000 for the summer school program. And then we have our general support, community services. That's basically school safety and community use of our facilities such as the pool. And then there's a piece of pie for our transportation. So that's our budget in summary. I've already talked about our revenue side, but that's another shot of it with our pie chart. Again, you see how much we are revenue in our state aid from year to year. And the rest, majority of the rest falls to the tax levy and those other categories. But it's nice to see that graphically. So what does that mean for our residents? So the change really for a house that's assessed at $50,000 from the current year to next year, we estimate that change will be under $10 a year annually. And then for a house assessed at $100,000, given both of these take into account the start deduction. So that estimated tax change would be just under $35 per year. So in building a budget, we do always plan on having a proposition for our buses. You'll see the list of our propositions here in a minute also. But we're sticking to our bus replacement schedule. We keep replacing our buses basically at a 5-year cycle. So our proposition this year will be to purchase 5 new buses. There'll be 4 large buses and a smaller cargo bus. While we're going to retire 6 buses. So we get a quite a bit of value under this plan on our trade-ins. So really our net cost for the 5 buses will be this year about $657,000. So the cost of a brand new bus, by the way, I'm not talking about electric vehicles, but our buses are approaching $200,000, about $190,000 for a large bus. So we're getting a lot of bang for the buck on the trade-ins, and it works very well. And I want to emphasize that this bus purchasing plan, we're paying for these buses out of the bus reserve fund. There is no increase to our taxes. Part of what we are doing also is investing in our facilities. So we continue with our capital project items. Here's several items here that I'm sure everyone's seen happening around the district at all of our buildings. is that we can spend $100,000 is embedded within our general fund budget, and we aided at that almost approximately 84% in the following year. When we do our bid projects, that aid comes in over the life of the debt service, so basically over 10 or 15 years. With capital outlay projects, which are much smaller, we're able to accomplish some nice important things on a year-to-year basis and get that aid immediately in the following year. So the last couple of years, last year and the current year, we've been doing upgrades on our high school library project. And for the 24-25 outlay, we're looking at doing improvements on the elementary auditorium. So this year we have 4 propositions on the ballot. The very first one, as always, is to approve the spending plan, approve the budget in amount of $35,040,967.66. The second proposition, we have to look for our voters to purchase these buses. It's coming out of the bus purchase reserve fund, and I just mentioned the details on that. The third proposition is for the annual library appropriation for the town of Wolcott and Rose Library. So we just add as an agent, which is collecting the taxes on their behalf, and then we remit their levies to them in the fall. The fourth proposition is to fund the repair reserve fund. This is a great new reserve to have. We're able to fund this reserve with the voters' approval, $250,000 from our liability reserve, which has hit its cap. So we really had to do something with this reserve. Not that we had to, but it does have a 3% of your fund of your budget cap. That's basically that, which is about $1 million. So we're also appropriating $25,000 from our fund balance to get that repairs reserve up to a start of $275,000. So that's going to become very useful. And I just want to say, when we do start using that for needed repairs, that'll come to the board in the form of we have to have a public hearing before we spend the money. We don't need voter approval necessarily to spend money out of this reserve. We have to have a public hearing about unless it's an emergency or some exceptions there. But I think that this will benefit from this reserve fund. Okay, so Mr. Cole mentioned that we've been doing presentations. We started late fall presentation, and then in January, right through our board's adoption of the budget, which was on April 11th. So this is our final budget presentation. It's one of the 4 ways that we've been trying to make this transparent as possible with the public and getting information about the budget out to the public. So we've been doing the presentations currently in each of our buildings and the public libraries. Is a copy of the budget statement. There's a lot of information in there. And these presentations are also on our website. So there's a lot of budget information. This was more of a summary, but there's more detail from basically our March presentation that we had where we really got into the budget quite a bit more. And also our community budget newsletter is going out in the mail tomorrow. I think the board has some copies there tonight, so you can get a sneak preview of that. But our residents will be receiving that in the next few days. So just again, an effort to be transparent and get the information out there about our budget. And we've always included our budget timeline, our highlighted areas are what's remaining. So it feels like the time has gone by very fast here, right? Here we are, May 9th with the public budget hearings, the part of the hearing, by the way. And then that has to happen basically 49 days before the vote. And then the voters will
this being a hearing, the board is here to hear what you might have to say or have questions about. Does anyone want to come to the microphone and ask a question or express an opinion? And Gary and Michael are there to help answer questions, and we'll be happy to hear you.
Cinda, I have a, so Gary, you had mentioned that it was a little bit of a challenge. So maybe it would be helpful just, always wanting to focus on supporting our students and supporting our staff. Is there anything that had to be cut out of the budget or changed in the budget that would impact that at all?
So, honestly, I would say it's a great pleasure that no, we haven't had to cut anything out. The challenging part is to continue to, in my opinion, improve our physical plan and our academic progress while, maintaining what we have, but then also extending and enhance. So when I said earlier, we start with the worst case scenario, work backwards, the answer is no, we haven't, because we scrutinize things to the level that we have. And although the governor's budget proposal was late and the aid we had hoped for didn't come in, we're in a position financially because we leverage our grant funds with our budget to keep our program and then actually add a few things. So next year, as you know, because our 3 through 8 testing is all computer-based tests, we were able to present to the Board of Education that we're going to place a teacher on special assignment to talk about computer and digital fluency. So that'll become a special area, and that really is a way that we think will help combat some of the fatigue that our students face when it comes to taking tests. So, no, we haven't cut anything. We're actually thinking strategically about how we're going to do things differently. So thank you.
I think it's just helpful to be able to articulate that and share it so that everyone in the community is aware of that. So
Yeah, thank you.
I'll just add one thing, because it really wasn't a challenge, because I was talking about our cost drivers, right, that are out of our control. So we had some retirement costs, our retirement, and we talked about this. Yeah, I could, in our benefits, I was talking about cost drivers being health insurance and retirement costs. So we were fortunate to have health insurance, our blended increase was really held to 5.35%. Sometimes we see double-digit increases in health insurance, and it's a huge line item on the budget. This year we had a 29% increase in our employee retirement system rate. So those are the kind of challenges that we have to grapple with that are not in our control. And I mentioned earlier that we did have to think strategically, right, about what we're doing and how we budget our revenues. So we did see an increase in our reliance on some of our reserves and a relatively small increase in our appropriate fund balance to help balance these needs.
Just to comment, I know that you have always been looking every year at where you can economize or where you can we've added sources or different reserve funds that can help us be prepared for those kinds of things that come our way, and health insurance or retirement payments. It's remarkable that we keep it under the inflation rate, I think. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think that for the general public, I was at a meeting last Friday regionally where, representatives from the state education department have basically given us an 18-month window to forewarn us that the foundation aid formula will change again, and that's a big driver ways for us to be efficient. So when we do it locally, if you look at Proposition 2, we're trading in 6 buses and we're replacing them with 5, right? 4 large capacity buses and 1 microbird. But we're also looking at purchasing another sport utility vehicle. And I think I said this last time, because we have singletons and 2s and 3s don't need to be on a large passenger bus when we can transport them just as effectively and New York State DOT approved SUV. So we are thinking that way, and we are always cognizant of the fact that we're spending other people's money. So when someone leaves our district for other reasons, we'll sit back and reevaluate if we need the position. If so, let's fill it. If we can do differently with what we have currently, we'll do differently with what we have. So thank you.
One of the big problems, however, is the electric buses in the future, which is going to kind of upset the balance of nature for the reserves. But that's nothing for this year. I was impressed with the grounds, the money being spent on our grounds, not only that, but the facilities for our students. For example, our soccer fields, the bleachers, and I know in the fall was a discussion item, but they are now handicapped accessible, and they are, very good representations of our school. The outdoor bathrooms out there, the walkways, the lighting, I could go on and on. I think it's a really very, very positive to represent our school. The repair fund, for those who don't know that, if we have an emergency, and you could probably describe it much better, the state does not like to approve emergency projects over and over and over again. So this fund would help that. If there isn't, like the roof on this building evaporates, it's something that can be used, the money in that fund can be used. So I was grateful for that kind of thing to be done. And overall, we started the budget process early on, and I think it was very transparent and it was well done. Thank you.
Are there any other questions from the public? Hearing none, I will close the hearing. Thank you very much. And we will proceed to regular board business. We're now at the point of number 3, the presentations. Mr. Pullen, I'll turn it over to you to make those introductions.
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Collier. So with us tonight is Scholar 4th grader from North Rose-Wolcott Elementary School, Miss Madeline Oler. She's part of Melissa Mason's 4th grade class, and Mrs. Hake is going to give her a proper formal introduction, but she's somebody who I think we can all be very proud of.
Thank you. I'm so proud to have Maddie Oler here. She's a 4th grader. She exemplifies our Cooper Bride traits and is a role model at NRWE. So here's Madeline Oler.
Good evening. My name is Madeline Oler. I am a 4th grade student with Miss Mason at the elementary school. I am the current student council president, and I would like to thank you all for allowing me to speak today. 2 things that I have participated in this year and years past include the soccer program as well as the youth basketball program. In my for allowing me to come here and speak today. And at WE has been amazing, and I'm happy to represent the elementary school here tonight. We can make it an even better place by continuing to support and teach our and I'm excited for what the future holds, and look forward to speaking here again as a middle school someday. We can do a lot if we work together and show our good pride.
Thank you, Madeline. It's so wonderful to hear from you, and we're delighted you could be here tonight. Any board members have anything they'd like to say to Madeline?
Madeline, I thought it was fantastic, and I hope that you get a chance to speak with Mrs. Haight and give her some feedback on your student safety committee. I think that's a great opportunity, and I know she has a safety committee meeting coming up that I think she and Mr. Stopper would be more than willing to listen to your ideas on. I see him over there, so he's smiling too. So I think that that's a great piece of feedback, and I'm very proud of you for having the courage to be able to stand in front of so many people and speak so well and be so articulate. I know when I was your age, I would have never been able to do that, so well done.
We come now to reports and correspondence. John, do you have anything to report from the elementary school?
Yes,
All right.
we have the students have finished the New York State math test on Tuesday and Wednesday, which is always a momentous thing. They also, next week, will be starting Ames Web and the benchmark assessments K through 4. The fourth grade will take iReady to gather data for middle school use. And they're excited to see growth for this year. It's always good. And something near and dear to our president's heart is the Memorial Day Parade, which will be occurring starting out with a breakfast for veterans and student sponsors at 9 a.m. Then the parade, the annual parade, will start at 9:45 for UPK, through 4th. Hopefully weather is good. And the ceremony will conclude at the Rose Town Hall following the parade. And as traditional too, 4th graders travel with their teachers to local cemeteries in Rose, Huron, Glenside, and Wolcott. And actually they put on 1,427 flags on graves of veterans. That's outstanding. It's my opinion, it's more than just the physical doing of things. It's it puts it home to the kids. It makes it real. Enough of that. Festival of the Arts Spring Awards will be May 29th at 5:30, and that's going to be UPK through 4. That's always a great time for parents and students to celebrate. And on June 4th, the 4th graders will have a track and field event at the high school. And today on Facebook this morning, they're carrying cougars. There's a really nice picture of 2 of our young men showing their bird feeders, cutting boards, and picture hangers. They'll have those for sale on Saturday at the high school craft fair, which will be here. I thought that's a great commentary on what our kids actually do. And they look really great too. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Shelley, do you have anything to report from the middle school?
I do. So, it is May 2023, 2024, and 162 students have earned the Cougar Pride Pass. This pass is earned with an average of 85% or above in quarter 3, and greater than 85% attendance, and by demonstrating our Cougar expectations and appropriate behavior. The Pride Pass allows students certain privileges, and this month, students may eat outside during lunch. It is a big month because we know for New York State assessments, including ELA, math, and science. Students were excited to show what they know, and they received incentives for trying their best on the assessments. On April 24th, we led our quarter 4 town hall meeting. We revisited the school-wide expectations for all students and encouraged them to make good choices and let them know that the decisions they make reflect upon their overall culture in the building. On April 26th, we held our Cougar Pride Assembly for the months of March and April. The chorus sang a beautiful rendition of the national anthem, and we recognized Carrie Osterman and Caitlin Bishop for demonstrating the trait of relationships, and Liesel Everdike and Sean Morgan for demonstrating the trait of inquiry. These assemblies continue to build a strong culture. On May 3rd, we celebrated the students with our October 3rd Awards Assembly. 60% of our students received honor roll of 85% or higher for the third quarter. I was there, and it's always a great celebration. On May 10th, we will be holding our spring dance for students in grades 5 through 8. That's it.
Thank you. Linda, do you have anything from the high school?
I do. Beginning on May 3rd, the 35th Feats of Clay Festival was held, and our ceramic students from the high school participated in several things like no hand throwing of clay, blindfold throwing of clay, a pot put throw, which is probably a twist and shot put, and coil building and mug making, and we were very well represented during that. On May 7th, the high school hosted the International Save a Life Tour that's sponsored by the New York State DWI Foundation for students' awareness. On May 16th, at the 4-county annual meeting that features the New York State Teacher of the Year, Zachary Aarons at Club 86 in Geneva, our select band and choir students will be performing for attendees that are at that special meeting. On May 17th and 18th, the New York State School Music Association Solo Fest is being held at Wayne Central, and students have been practicing their solos to perform there, and we wish them well. This weekend, the class of 2024 is sponsoring the Spring Craft Fair, and there will be shopping, purchasing of trees, and this is going to help them support their senior class trip, which we approved recently. On June 5th, the high school will be having a Festival of Arts, and that's going to take place from 4 to 6 p.m., and it will be showing student projects and work. And I believe there's food trucks that will be there during that time. So that's everything that's happening up to date.
Thank you, Linda. Tina, do you have anything to report from Cougar Arts?
Yes, I was able to meet today and do a tour of the new facility. It looks great. It's amazing how well oiled it is already. That there's 3 programs going on at once, and they're well coordinated. You never know. The door was open today because of some staff changes, but it's working well. So in one section, you have the students that are unfortunately suspended, but are getting a lot of support, and that was evident. You could see they were all diligently working. The next section was the resource, where it's our 9th and 10th graders that are basically at risk. And those students were getting assistance and working well. And then on the other side, where there's 2 rooms, it's the old ALC, which is, again, the credit recovery section. I was able to meet with Carrie Merritt and Amy Plow, the 2 teachers, and they were just explaining a lot of things to me. It's going very well. It's definitely a program we should be
Very proud of.
It's saving a lot of students, and I was able to talk with a couple of students who basically expressed the same thing. Said, I wouldn't be where I am if I wasn't getting the kind of help I'm getting in here. So it really is. You leave there just feeling good about it.
That is wonderful. So it's a busy time here at the end of the school year, and it's wonderful to hear that kids are making good achievements. Linda, do you have anything to report from either the Fort County Board of Directors or the Legislative Committee?
The Fort County Board of Directors is going to be, we're going to be doing a search for a new director, executive director for Fort County. That should be starting within the next month. And then, of course, I already mentioned the Fort County meeting that's coming up that our students are going to be performing at. In terms of legislative committee, there's a lot going on. We're starting to work and trying to put together information about things that have been proposed or cut from the federal, or proposed to be cut. Title I and Title II. I do want to take the opportunity to thank Gary Burnham, Lori Elliott, and Megan Pagliatti for sitting down with me so that I could start to gather some facts that will put a little bit more teeth in our pushback on pulling funds from Title I and Title II, which we all know supports reading and math support in our schools. And rural schools really depend on that more than some others. So I appreciate the help because we're going to go hard on that one. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. I have nothing to report from Handbook Committee. John, do you have anything from Audit Committee?
No.
District Safety Committee, John?
No.
No. Tina, anything from negotiations and personnel? No. And under policy, I see we have some first reads here. Tina and Shelley, you're on the committees. Is there anything you want to say about them? Okay. At this time, we'll move to public access. John?
I have a question on the first read of 7110, which is comprehensive student attendance.
All right.
That was, I'd like to turn it back over to the committee because whoever did the editing of it crossed off of several paragraphs talking about alternate ways of assessing students, not just test scores, but also, I can't remember the whole thing, I need to read it, but it had to do with projects, class participation, attendance, a number of things that I thought were key to being an educator in any school district, and especially ours. We've heard this over and over that we just don't focus on New York State testing scores. We try to do the whole student. In other words, the body of language, the body of knowledge that they learned after 12 years, or now more than that. And it's strike those all out. I just wondered why, and maybe it's already covered in a different policy somewhere. And the very last paragraph on the policy changed the threshold for taking action from 5% of attendance to 10%. That, again, I'd like that explained in the future meeting. I just don't see the sense of moving it from 5% to 10%. It seems like that's a pretty big number.
All right, this is a first read, so the next meeting that we do our second read, I think it would be imperative, John, that you maybe send your specific written concerns to the policy committee members so that they can get back to us on why at the next meeting, and possibly that particular policy will be sent back at that point on the second reading to the committee for further study. Okay? Yes, thank you, Jim. Anything else on policies? Okay. Then we'll move on to number 5, public access. Tina?
There's no one.
No one? All right, thank you. We'll move to the consent agenda. A motion, please, to approve the consent agenda. Shelley and John? Consent agenda goes from page 1 to the top of page 4. Discussion, questions? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the consent agenda? Motion is carried. Turning to page 4. Number 7. A motion, please, to approve board appointments and other designations. Linda and Tina, discussion? All in favor of approving board appointments and other designations? Motion is carried. Number 8, a motion, please, to approve a letter of resignation. Linda? Shelley? Discussion? Hearing none, Tina, would you call the roll, please?
Cinda?
Yes?
Tina?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Shelley? Yes. Linda?
Yes.
Jason is absent, and Paul is absent. Motion is carried.
Thank you, Tina. Motion is carried. We move now to the green sheets that we are inserting after this number 8. A motion, please, to award the bid award for North Rose-Wolcott Central School High School Library. Motion? Tina? Linda? Discussion? All in favor of awarding the bid award for North Rose-Wolcott Central School District High School Library?
That was not.
Oh, no, that's not a roll call. This one is a roll check. It's the next one that's a roll call. All in favor? Motion is carried. All right. Now, the second one, a motion, please, to approve and authorize the settlement of claims. Shelley and Tina, discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Cinda?
Yes?
Tina?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Shelley? Yes. Linda?
Yes.
Jason is absent, Paul is absent. Motion is carried.
Thank you, Tina. Motion is carried. Under board members, request, comments, discussion. I want to remind you, if you haven't signed up to go to the fall town meeting on May 16, Thursday, please consider doing so. We do have, I think, a great honor in that North Rose-Wolcott Central School is going to be entertaining the group, and there will be a vocal and an instrumental ensemble playing for those present at the Fort County School Board. So it's a real honor to do that. And I'm so proud of these students for being able to do that, but I'm also so appreciative of our teachers who are going the extra effort to make this happen. So please convey the board's appreciation, Mr. Flynn. Any other board member comments, requests? Any good news that anyone wants to particularly focus on? We had lots of news.
There are, I just wanted to, we had lots of discussion with our family about Decision Day and just how exciting it was and the excitement that so many kids were represented, even if they aren't going to college, because it's a big decision to go into the workforce and go into the military, and that we need, you know, all of those facets of moving forward to create a great community. So thank you, because I know Brian really enjoyed it. And I think other students did as well, so thank you.
John?
From April News, we have a number of 5 new members inducted into our North Rose-Wolcott Athletic Hall of Fame. David Urban, the class of 99. Zach S., the class of 2011. Jerry DeCosmaker, the class of 1974. Terry Ross, 94. And James Prentice, our coach. So we congratulate those. We also had an article in the paper about the Reliant Credit Union donating sneakers to our children at the NRWD, 75 pair of sneakers. We also had a number of things in the sporting goods of the Red Creek paper, North Rose-Wolcott, Red Creek Five Savannah, and a Wayne County Invitational, I'm sure others as well. Sorry to keep up with sports in the spring. Also, Red Creek, North Rose-Wolcott teams succeed in Wayne Cuba environmental competition. I guess that's it.
You can't find it? I was worried. I thought if he leans back and puts his feet up on the desk and takes a newspaper, we're in for a long night. Anyone else? Before we close, I want to give a really special recognition. Thank you to all of our teachers and staff who worked so hard. We all know, the board knows that teachers make a difference in all kinds of ways in kids' lives. And without teachers who care and go that extra mile, kids would suffer. And I'm confident that in North Rose-Wolcott, our kids appreciate their teachers and all they do. We certainly do as a board, and we thank them so much. At this time, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Tina and Shelley, any discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you and good night.
Might as well have